In progress. Yeah. That magical sound means, which you may not hear after edit, is once again, we're back here. Make City Make Spence. It is Sunday, April 13th, year of our Lord 2025. For some, it's Holy Week. For others, it's Passover. For everybody, it is Sunday here. And we appreciate all that are checking this out for another episode of Make City Make Spence. Garret Comet's here.
Garret with an unexpectedly sacred opening here.
I tend to mix it up once in a while.
And then on the next day, Christ. I'm going to stop there.
And now we're 7 days.
I can only get more blasphemous, so I'm going to stop.
Zombie Jesus. As you can tell, I'm not alone tonight. Joining me first off, man behind all the production stuff. Dare I say, the hardest working supporter in the game, Adam Hernandez, and the namesake of Make City Make Spence, keeper of the pizza mines, architect of words about shapes, lover of all things cat pics, Sean Spence. Gentlemen, happy Sunday. How are you both?
Pretty decent. Got a massive tidal wave of dopamine last evening right around midnight. So that was really pleasant.
Yeah. What about you, Adam?
I'm good. Better after what happened last night, that's for sure.
So last night was a wild Detroit City FC match experience. We'll be covering that along with previewing what's ahead this coming week. 2 matches. But let's get into why we have this rush of dopamine and, feelings of joy and everything. Detroit City. As Danny Dicchio mentioned in his post-match press conference, last trained here in Michigan on Thursday when the temperature was around 32-ish degrees or so. Friday, they landed in Phoenix, and it was 101. Yesterday, during the day, it was 99, and at kickoff of their match with Phoenix Rising, it was, I think, 92, 93 degrees or so. So a little bit of a different experience, maybe how fitting when we talked about the soul-searching last week.
Dry heat.
Dry heat for sure. A Phoenix Rising side that coming off their first win in USL Championship play last weekend at San Antonio, and Detroit City FC making 2 changes to their starting lineup. Jay Chapman back in, Jordan Adebayo Smith making his first start in the lineup. In both the 2 people out, Darren Smith, Ben Morris. Though they made a massive impact. At least one of them did. While Detroit City looked a lot better, in my opinion, moving the ball around in the first half at times, it was Phoenix Rising that went into halftime with a 1-0 lead via a cross from the left flank that questionable maybe in the decisions in the box and a back post header.
Bring it home, baby.
Yeah. Second half, Detroit City taking over. However, a faux pas. 2-0 Phoenix Rising, getting over 300 plus minutes without a goal. And we're like, same old song and dance until the 87th minute when a Reese Williams cross. Darren Smith, 2-1. 2 minutes later, ball in the box. Darren Smith, 2-2. 2 minutes later.
Not even 2 minutes later.
Yeah. Jesse El Cedeno marauding down the right flank, cuts in with his left foot, takes the shot. It goes in the net. It was so shockingly wild that one Detroit City FC account said it was Jesse El Cedeno that scored the goal, but the other account said it was Maury Donor.
Yeah. And I think that Neil made the same mistake on his call. I think he was not sure who it was.
Yeah.
And then Maury was celebrating so vigorously. I think they were just like, oh, it was Maury. Like, hey, he was playing on that side. So, but yeah, that was Jesse El Cedeno moment from the off. And what an incredible like 4 minutes. I think the city put the whole 4 minutes up on their account. Like you can just go watch it. If you missed it last night, you're like, oh, I missed it. Like, okay, well, you can watch it in real time. It's not cut up at all. It's just like starting with the first goal and moving through the last one. I it's always so nice to score goals. And the first two were really like Reese, like that was like incredible play on the flank. That was winger play, and he that first cross that was immaculate, that really created the goal and started the thing, was with his off foot. He's right-footed. That was a left-footed outswinger to the back post. If he does it with his right foot, it's a completely different shape. Darren's not going to be able to get there. It's going to either get caught by the keeper or going to swerve out for a goal kick. Because he does it with his left foot, it kind of skirts across the face of goal and gives Darren a chance to adjust his run and make a really acrobatic finish. The second one was a little more conventional, but still coming off that left side. And then it was more of a Darren goal where he was able to kind of. You talk about people having cat-like quickness. That really looked like a cat-like goal. Like the ball came kind of sizzling in, and he just, instead of trying to play it because he was really surrounded, and I think he wasn't quite sure how it was going to go, he just kind of batted it down the way a cat will do, just kind of, like stopped it, and then the four guys around him, the keeper and the three defenders that were kind of a diamond around him, all kind of sat there in astonishment while he just poked it home. Real poacher's goal, fantastic. And then all of that outshone by Jesse L's Mo Salah special, basically, putting it on his coming in off the right flank on his left foot, getting to the top of the top of the penalty area and swerving it into the back post. And I mean, it really was, in terms of like time at play, it was like 15 seconds after the previous goal. I don't want to take away from how majestic it was that City, got their shit together and was able to kind of keep their nerve again and again and again, like moment, like that's difficult. And it's something I hope that we can build on, like emotionally and as a group, this idea that okay, we do have some juice here, and we don't have to kind of apologize and hedge our way through games. Like we can go out here and play our football.
Yeah.
We would be remiss not to mention that Phoenix went through an absolutely spectacular mental meltdown in the final moments of this game.
Even when they were 1-0 up, they were asking us to here, we don't want this lead, and we wanted to accept their offer, but we couldn't execute at that moment until later.
I think we'll get into that a little deeper because I'm kind of in the happy part right now.
Yeah, let's keep the joy going.
Really did kind of surge into the game, and we were insistently asking a lot of questions of them for the 10 minutes before the first goal. It wasn't like it came out of nowhere. We decided football, well, let's try that. Really, it felt over the course of the match that we were the team that was able to exert control over how the game was going to be played. And there were it was those few moments where our control slipped that Phoenix were able to make something happen. It wasn't like Phoenix kept the ball against us a lot. Having said that, I felt like our midfield was a little bit wan physically. Like we didn't control play early on, and every single one of these goals came from the wide areas in the final moments against a Phoenix defense that had switched off mentally, and couldn't get it back together. Was too busy mourning and looking at each other, making gas faces, holy father, that they just kind of lost it. And Jesse L just slices through their, like there's 4 or 5 guys who could step up and kick him and make us set up and do a set piece, and nobody comes within like 3 yards of them. They're just gonna they're just giving ground. Like they've just given up 2 goals in like 90 seconds, and they're like, whatever. like, like Stephen Carroll would run through, would leave a knife in a dude's kidney at that point. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we're just going to stop play. We're going to establish that we are not we're not these chumps that we just banned twice. So it was, it was really a pleasing end to ambivalent performance overall.
Hell yeah. What about you, Adam?
I liked how we looked in the second half. I thought we looked better in the second half, which is a welcome sight considering how we would come out of the second half in previous games. Darren Smith, I mean, that first goal was incredible, and I was incredibly happy for Jasiel Cedeno to get that game winner. It seems like he was ripe for something like that, and it was good to see him get that. The worst thing about that goal was the celebration. I don't know what the hell that was at the end.
I was worried that he was hurt.
No, the thing I like about it was that, like, so he's a young guy, he's really quite young. But clearly, like, the team knows him, and like the guys know him and know that, like, he just scored a big goal and that he's going to want to do his celebration. Like, Stevie went sliding in, and like you could see halfway through the slide, he's like, "Shit, no, we're going to do that thing. I forgot we're going to do that thing." So like everybody knew that, like, no, Jesse L just scored a goal. We're going to do the thing that he wants us to do, and like the fact that everybody was on board with that, everybody was like that is that's a pleasing sign that they're on each other's wavelength and they're thinking about each other and know each other.
Absolutely. And Jesse, I don't mean to put you down or anything. I expect that celebration to look 10 times better as the season goes on, because I expect you to score more goals.
Right, exactly. So, you're like your 10th, 12th goal, that shit is going to be ironed out.
Yes.
So yeah, just keep rolling.
I guess for me, again, I want to stay positive with this, because I have a feeling we're going to get into some negative aspects of the win, which is, I want to say this though. I hope that this means that we're going to see Darren Smith start games, because I think Darren Smith needs to start games. I think he is probably our best striker out there. And it's like in baseball. Baseball, you put your best hitters towards the top of the lineup because you're going to get the most at-bats with them. Yeah. If you're starting a match, you're more than likely going to have more minutes. And I think Darren Smith needs more minutes. So I'd like to see him start more games as opposed to coming off the bench. There's some guys who I'm perfectly fine with coming off the bench. Aside from that, though, I thought that cross from Rhys Williams, I believe the second goal was really, really nice. That's, vintage Rhys Williams, which is a nice recovery too from earlier on the game, because I can't remember if it was the first or second Phoenix goal where I think it was Rhys Williams who got completely undressed.
Yeah, it was
on that particular play.
Well, he got undressed and he also just sort of pulled out of it. It was just like, fuck it, man. And it was like turned out to be a real bad decision.
So it's good that he had that recovery. Overall, though, I mean, going on the road, beating the Rising, out west in the desert, high heat, Phoenix blowing a 2-goal lead. What more can you ask for? I mean, heat from the Heat Daddy. This was a match made for Spence himself.
Oh my goodness.
So
I don't know about that.
I can't wait for the words about shapes to come out
Yeah,
about when it comes
yeah,
to this one.
exactly. Well, it's the thing. One of the great things about sports is that they end. Um, so we got this decisive moment, and then it ended, and now that moment is like frozen in amber. Boop, that happened, and um, that can't be taken away from us. That was really one of the best comebacks in Detroit City history, clearly. Clearly going all the way back. And this is the first time that Darren Smith has kind of like I kind of got Jean-Claude Lawson vibes from the way he was
clinical.
The kind of goals they were, the kind of the creative kind of body shape he had to assume to get that first shot on goal, and then the second one kind of. That was a very Sean Claude way to handle that instead of going it okay, well, I'm not going to just first time it because there's 8 guys here and I'm going to just bang it into one of them. So I'm going to I bet I'm quicker than them. I'm going to knock it down and then try to do something. And it's the kind of thing you saw Jean Claude do in especially in the NPSL, but even in Nisa. So I mean. Yeah, a really great performance, and a guy that I think is kind of an old school poacher. Now that we've seen him play a little bit, he's just good at he'll put a good shot on you if you chance lays the ball around him, he'll put a good shot on goal. You know what I mean? He'll figure out his hips and get a shot on goal. And that we don't have a lot of those kind of players around anymore. I think just because there's a lot of other things to develop, and so either if you don't got it naturally, you're not going to develop it in modern football. But he must have it naturally.
And this is great too, Sean. Just because I mean. It just doesn't seem like it's in Detroit City's pedigree to mount a comeback like this. And I hate saying that just because, I mean, City isn't a bad team. I mean, they're a good team. It's just they have trouble scoring goals. And when you have trouble scoring goals...
The overriding, it's our basic persona since arriving in the USL Championship, right? Is that we're defensively solid, but offensively pretty blunt. And that if we can get kind of a moment of synchrony or we can somehow get a lead on you, you're in trouble. But if you want to just choke us out, then we'll probably it'll end 0-0. You know what I mean? And now I don't know how deserved that has always been, because there have been passages, say a couple of months where the offense is pretty persuasive and we're scoring goals pretty easily and creating more chances. But that over the course of our 4 years in the league now, it's still been pretty rare.
Yep.
And so I think we were one of the least, if there was a poll, which team is most likely to mount a 3-goal comeback in the final 5 minutes of a match, which club in the USL Championship, Detroit City would be in the bottom 3 or 4 that people name. They wouldn't be City, yeah, ooh, yeah, they're so dangerous. You're constantly shitting nickels when they're on the ball. I that is pleasing, and hopefully that portends a change in our reputation at some point, because that would be great.
There's a couple of things in particular that I loved about this before we get into 3 stars La Rouge. The first thought was one of the things I was wanting to see from our convo last week was keeping defenders honest. And if you have an opportunity, edge a box or whatever, try taking something and see what you can get. And we saw a bit more of that today on Saturday. Ryan Williams getting into it. Jay Chapman hitting the bar, which I thought funny because I was agreeing. Sean, we had our chat in the first half, and I agree with you about. I think Jay was off a lot in the first half, got into it a little bit more in the second half, and I was like, okay, the vibes. He's getting the vibes. He knows he's got to step it up, keep going in that. But then the Jessiel shot at the end too. It's like we're taking chances, and when you take chances like that, opportunities sometimes happens. So that was cool. I had lunch with my mom yesterday, and the last time we were in Phoenix, it was my mom's birthday, and we talked about that 5-0 result and just how painful it was. So for the fact that we were able to come from behind and win that, cool, fantastic. Last, I want to give a shout out to Jaime Ventura, Channel 451, because made a mention. He predicted a 3-2 win for City over the weekend, and not his usual 4-0. That was Dennis. So wild and everything on there. So but yeah, those are my three thoughts on there. 3 stars, La Rouge, gentlemen.
Well, hold on. I like there were some aspects of the performance that were not amazing and laudatory, and I think we kind of have skidded right past those a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Wait, let's be honest. Let's go into it.
Okay. Well, I mean, what I would say is, Elijah, if like if you need a care package or some sort of liniment, like we'd love to see you back in the A-team, man. Because like that first half and really portions of the second half. Now, like it didn't. I don't feel like it's like our midfield got way better in the second half, and that's why we controlled the ball. It was more like Phoenix had a lead. It was kind of like, yeah, it's in our. We don't really give a shit about having the ball. We would like to hit you on the break over and over again. So we had the ball, right? Like they wanted to hit us on the break. They were not jealous of possession. And I guess the things I was seeing last night was like kind of for some guys their ceiling is spelled out in their like mobility, their ability to move around the pitch, or their strength. They're just never quite sturdy enough to not get mauled, or some guys are just their technique. They've got they're physical monsters, but they're technically just not good enough, and eventually it kind of the game weeds them out. But other guys, they've got the technical and they've got some physical, but they kind of have a mental ceiling. And a lot of times you see it's difficult to tell whether a person is mentally just not thinking along with the match, or whether it's a lack of confidence. Those can look very similar. But you get this sort of fecklessness at different positions that express slightly different ways. And I saw a lot of it last night, like from Joseph, from Jordan out of Iowa Smith. Really, it does not give the impression of an attacker who is trying to impose their will upon a match. It's more like, hey, I'll see what happens. Maybe something cool will present itself, and I'll try to take advantage of that. But like, there's not, that's at the top level, at the professional level, you want players who want to impose themselves on the match, who want to leave a mark, who want to make things better when they're bad, who want to make things worse for the other guys when they're good. And I don't get that impression. I didn't get that impression from Jordan's stint. I kind of didn't get a lot of that from Jay, and Jay was the one I was talking to you about in the kind of chat that we had going. And he's he just didn't win any duels, really. I think he won one duel in the first half. And, we're getting beat to second balls and played through the middle, at least to where they're able to, one pass be in an attacking space, like ready to create a shot. And it just wasn't good enough for me. Now he was backed up by Ryan Williams, who's pretty decent. He's smart positionally. He's not mobile enough to really police the whole width of the pitch, but he's smart positionally. So he unless something really surprising happens with the ball, like breaks wrong or whatever, he's usually in a pretty decent position. I just like, for all the things I've seen from Jay, all the kind of technical ability and the occasional ability to shape a ball that you're like, wow, that was really special. It starts to look to me like I look at his career now, having seen him play 5 games, and go, oh, okay, this makes a little more sense. Like, all right, he's kind of a floater. And if Jay Chapman's listened to this, like, you're welcome not to be a floater. You're welcome to prove me wrong and be like a dominant badass. Go ahead and do that. That'd be cool. But I think at this point we've seen what it is. Like, he's a slightly above replacement level 8, and who doesn't have a lot of defensive bite. And I don't know if that's good enough for where we aspire to be. You know what I mean? And
I hear what you're saying about Jordan, especially John. You mentioned something when you're talking there about kind of, he's kind of a wait and see what happens type of player. Coming over from Minnesota MLS, do you think maybe it's him kind of maybe underestimating the competition in USL Championship? What do you think is behind that?
I mean, I don't know how to speculate about the psychological underpinnings of,
Sure.
but he doesn't look like he's big dogging it. He doesn't look like he's like, rolling his eyes every time the ball doesn't fall right for him, or that's the things I would look for, is the sort of player who's constantly blaming everyone else when things don't come off, because clearly they're better than everyone else, right? That's the
Sure.
I don't see that from him. I think he plays reasonably earnest football, but I just think it's a little like, I think that a sports psychologist maybe would help him a lot. Like, he needs to have confidence and sort of feel like a lion, and feel like the match is there for him to change. And his confidence just isn't at that level, or his personality isn't like that. And if it's the latter, then there's things you can do, but you're probably not going to be a dominant goal scoring forward.
Which is probably why he's playing with Detroit City right now and
Right.
not at Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota, I'm sure, is probably hoping that's something that he can figure out.
Right, you never know, like,
This season.
exactly. Like, you never know what is going to unlock a guy. He's obviously pretty quick. He has some technical ability, but it seems like it's going to take a pretty special ball to unlock him over the top. And we've certainly gave it a shot through like an hour last night. Like, I don't know, we tried for him 6-7 times over the top.
He had a chance that he's going to like haunt him for a while. That tap in that should have been 1-1.
Yeah. He had a tap in for 1-1 that he skied badly, and so I guess I'm kind of talking myself around to it being confidence. But the tough thing about professional football is that there's everybody needs confidence, right? And there's no confidence store. Like, you got to go out there and succeed to get confidence, and as you keep not succeeding, the confidence gets harder and harder, more expensive to buy. So I don't know.
Adam, did you have anything you wanted to add about other things that like concerned you during the match or otherwise?
No, my main thing is, I piggybacked off Sean, and then because I agreed with what he had to say, especially about Jordan. And again, I mean, just to reiterate, I think that I want to continue to see Darren start in that spot.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I get, like, I think it was a good experiment. And I think that you want to have, like, it's almost like one of those like NFL things where you're like, look, I want everybody to have film of Jordan and us hitting him over the top. It's like something you got to worry about or think about we might do. Just so everyone in the world doesn't press us, like, doesn't bring their back line right up to the midfield stripe and do that to us. But now, I don't know. Yeah, I do. Like, who do we start in the Open Cup match, right? Like,
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a moment, I guess. So let's do the three. Is that?
Yeah, I was going to say real quick my take since we're talking on that. There's a line Danny Dichio said in this post-match conference as he was talking about how he believes in the guys to do and succeed. The players just need to be able to believe in themselves and be able to do that. And what we're talking about ties in perfectly to that, because I think both goals allowed yesterday that Phoenix scored. I think the goals that Louisville scored a couple weeks ago and us not being able to hang on to the lead at Legion all are in that same fold of, like, whether it's confidence or just not being able, I don't know, like not having it on in those moments, whether it's turned off or concerned to be able to, we're trying too hard or what, anything like that. So I think that line is believe in yourself, because I think you said this last week too, Sean. This team has the talent. And that's especially when you see what they did to get that win yesterday. But just some of the moments that we see that give up the goals, it's the same, same as it ever was. It's what we've seen before. And that's the thing. It's like, believe in yourself. It's a belief and confidence in that moment, in that. Like that second goal, I was just literally, I think, all I had to say in that moment in our chat was "what the fuck," because
I mean, the second goal was pretty frustrating. Yes, I mean the first goal, it was a really good cross.
Yeah,
and looking at it again, like, when I live, I'm like, where the fuck is Alex? Right? It's coming off that flank, but he was tangled up with I can't remember his name, one of the dudes with the headband.
Stacco.
Yeah, he was tangled up with Stacco the whole time. And so I basically had a dude to mark who was trying to get to the back post, and he was sort of, tussling with him. And then the goal scorer slipped in behind him. Now, I don't know if Alex, and looking at the video, like, I don't even know who could have slid over there to cover. Like, we were pretty committed. So, the only place we could have cut it off was either the cross being a little crappier, which, if Reese doesn't sort of just go fuck it after like the third turn, which it looks like, the guy just kept switching on him. He's going left, he's going right, he's going left, he's going right, he's going left. Somewhere in there, Reese is like, whatever, dude, I'll meet you back here in 4 yards. And the guy's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to use this space to curl in an absolutely perfect cross. Surprise.
Margarita, yeah.
The dude had been airmailing crosses all day. So I kind of, in some ways, I kind of like, I can see where Reese is probably like, yeah, this dude's gonna send this like 18 yards over the goal and like, into the stands the way he had the previous 3 times he'd crossed the ball. But no, it was perfect.
Yeah. So we've talked about it. We got the wins. Now the momentum needs to be continuing. We got a 2-match week coming ahead. U.S. Open Cup, third round on Wednesday, April 16th at historic Keyworth Stadium, 7 o'clock p.m., somewhere in the late mid to upper 40s, I hope.
How about before we
kick.
get to that, Garrett? Why don't we
3
do the
stars,
3
Rouge.
stars now?
Yeah, 3 stars, Rouge. Yeah, this is what happens when we do a Sunday. 3 stars, Rouge. Adam, you want to go first?
Yeah. Despite losing his pants, Reese Williams, and just for that great cross to Darren Smith for that second goal, Jesse Daniel for the game winner, and then Darren Smith, 2 goals, first one, such a beauty. That was the Darren Smith breakout game, I think. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Alex and Darren and Reese. Alex is just he is the kind of creative fulcrum of the team at this point. The kid's like 22. But when we aren't looking great on offensively, we really tend to find the ball at Alex's feet, like kind of asking him to create chances. So he's my third guy. Darren is second, for this incredible Fox in the Box performance in half an hour, and then Reese is first. To me, that first cross, the fact that it's with his off foot, I mean, in a just world, he goes into the locker room and they just hand him like $5,000. They're just like, that's fucking awesome. Here's $5,000. Because that was such a perfect cross, and with his off foot, just incredible. And this is in the 85th minute of a match where he got a yellow card very early, and they just trusted him to ride it despite playing a very physical style for the whole match, and he did. So a lot of performance from Reese at both ends, and then getting his getting noticed by producing 2 assists to start the comeback.
Star number 3, I'm going to go trio winners. I'm going to go Alex, Reese, and Maury Donor, because I think I'm including Maury.
Nope.
I've used this a couple weeks ago.
Nope. Yellow card on Garrett. You got to pick one. This isn't a 5-star. This is a 3-star. Got to pick one.
Fine, I'll pick Reese.
Okay, so for my third one, the following 6 guys. Like what?
All right. We already established this. 3rd star, Reese Williams. 2nd
there
star,
you go.
Jesse Cedeno, because he had the winner. But he only got the winner because Darren Smith had the 2 goals beforehand. So Darren Smith's my 1st star of the match. And it's just great to see a clinical striker. All right. Now let's talk Open Cup. Wednesday, April 16th, 7 p.m., historic Keyworth Stadium. The weather's going to, I'm not looking forward to it too much. Hope it's dry. Westchester SC from USL League One, Newbound side. 3 matches played in USL League One, a win, a draw, and a loss, 4 scored, 4 allowed. Westchester has been in the U.S. Open Cup since round 1. 1-0 win at FC Motown on March 18th. A 3-2 win over New York Pancyprian Freedoms, I think is the name of this team that they played. I want to make sure I got the C right. I don't know I think that's, yeah. But their last game was last weekend, a 2-0 loss at AV Alta. Couple of USL Championship names, particular on this squad that some may recognize from games lately, that are with this team: Connor McGlenn and Prince Sadie. So one of the 2 times that we'll be playing Westchester this year, since they are in the Jägermeister League Cup group.
Yeah.
On July 26th, which is the last group stage game. Do we want to talk about this match, then go to Rhode Island, or should we also just mention Rhode Island and cover it all in one session?
Let's take them together.
Okay. So Saturday, 3 days after that, on April 19th, uh, Eastern Conference champion Rhode Island FC will be coming to Keyworth Stadium for a 4 p.m. tilt, and also that means Maxi Rodriguez is going to be coming back to Keyworth. Rhode Island has won one, drawn one, and lost two of their four this year. Two losses at Charleston and Loudoun United, a draw at Phoenix, and their win at Oakland Roots. They will be playing at Portland Hearts of Pine in the U.S. Open Cup on Tuesday, which is Detroit City will be going there at the end of May. So, Westchester, Rhode Island, 2 matches, 3 days apart from each other, coming back from the desert. How are we feeling about this? Sean, you can lead.
I'm feeling reasonably sanguine about the matches in prospect. Westchester is a team that we should take apart. And if we don't, it will be incredibly disappointing. Rhode Island is off to a really terrible start. The record's 1-1-2, but the one win is against Roots, who have specialized in dick treading and stumbling onto rakes through the first few matches of the season. These are 2 matches against teams that, because of form or quality, we should expect good results from. The downside is that we are winless at home. We've not lost on the road. We've not won at home.
Lost at Louisville on the road. That was the only setback.
Oh, that's right. We did lose on Louisville on the road. But yeah, we haven't looked good at Keyworth. And last night, if you think about the way we created those goals, the position where Reese crossed the ball would be about 2 yards out of bounds, like in the stands at Keyworth Stadium. The place where Jesse L takes the ball in and turns in field would also be about 2 yards out of bounds at the end of the in the supporters section. And I wonder if that's part of our problem. The fact that Keyworth is a bandbox, and that compression means that it kind of increases the role of chaos in the match, and that helped us when we had a talent disadvantage against most of the league, because you like a little chaos if you're the underdog, but we don't go into most matches at Keyworth as the underdog anymore, and that chaos is starting to bite us instead of the other guys. I'm hoping we don't see a chaotic week. I hope that this is a very orderly destruction of Westchester, and then a solid and coherent performance against Maxi. I think there is some internal motivation from Mr. Rodriguez return.
Agreed. Adam, what about you, bud?
Yeah, I think that you hope that they could go in and take care of business against Westchester. Westchester isn't looking at their run of form in League One. They're not any type of world beater or anything like that. So yeah, you expect them to, Detroit City, that is, to come out on top. And yeah, like Sean mentioned, if they don't, it's going to be incredibly disappointing. You also wonder what that lineup is going to look like too. What is that Open Cup lineup going to look like?
Right.
Which I assume is going to look very similar to our Jägermeister Cup lineup once that comes around. One thing that is great about this season, though, is you shouldn't see these short weeks affect the team as much as they have in the past, just because of how much bigger the roster is and how much deeper the roster is. So
you would hope.
Yeah, you would hope. Exactly. Again, my excitement for this coming Wednesday is possibly seeing McCruva get the start in net, which is what might convince me to check
I want
things out on Wednesday in person.
I want to point out that Tatenda was not rostered yesterday. That Carlos Adana was back and
Yep,
on the bench.
yep.
Um, no explanation or even hint about what was going on there. Just I'm guessing it was at this point you're like, I don't know, an injury question mark. I
Yeah.
have no idea. Okay.
Um, as far as Rhode Island goes, I know there's an exciting new chant that's being drummed up, especially for Maxi, which I think people will enjoy. It is quite funny, and I can't wait for it to be debuted. But Rhode Island is a complicated team to kind of comprehend here because I thought I remember them doing the same exact thing last year.
Yeah.
Started out extremely slow.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Through
talented
June.
roster. Yeah, very talented roster. It's just, they couldn't gel. They couldn't find, they weren't a cohesive unit to start the season. And then they ended up going to the USL Championship final and losing to Colorado Springs, who also started out extremely slow last year as well. And we're kind of seeing the same thing again this year. Like Sean mentioned, Rhode Island does not look good right now. They managed to pick around an even worse Oakland Roots team, and now you have them coming to Keyworth, which, in all honesty, I would kind of rather prefer to play them as things go right now. Detroit doesn't look good at home. They just don't. And at this point right now, I'm more confident in those games on the road for Detroit City. So,
Yeah.
but with that said, I mean, I'm still confident though that we can win this match. I don't know if we want to throw out predictions or anything like that yet, but
So
um,
I'm gonna drop before we get to ours. I'm gonna drop guest ones that I got last night in our recap from Jaime Ventura, just because I think one of them is gonna be hilarious. Open Cup 1-0. City grinds it out, and part of it is rotation based. 1-1. He has it with Rhode Island. Darren Smith with the goal. However, he thinks Michael Bryant's going to go Maxi Rodriguez into a straight red card.
I mean, if there are secret words, it's Maxi off. It's hard to imagine our guys don't know them.
I know the chant is something very specific to Maxi, and hopefully that helps in the process of getting him a red card.
So Project Shake Maxi is, launched.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So now that we have the guest one, let's go with ours. Sean Spence, you get the lead. Westchester and Rhode Island.
Westchester and Rhode Island. I'm going to say 2-1 City against Westchester, where we fall behind. Yeah. And I mean, I think they're going to come out like full of piss and vinegar, biggest crowd they've ever played in front of. Let's go. They've got some experienced guys that can knit it together, and I could see us, kind of janking it out, but I think we'll win.
Does McRuva get the start, Sean?
Yes.
All right, then I'm going.
He better. He better.
I mean, I think he's an emergency backup. He's getting money to practice. It's fine. The Rhode Island game. Yeah, I'm gonna go 1-1 as well. City goal for Ben Morris, and yeah, I don't think Maxi will get goaded into a red card, but I think he will get frustrated and not dominate play.
All right, Adam. You've been waiting for this moment for 4+ months.
Um, I'm gonna go with a I'm gonna go with a 2-0 win over Westchester. I can't I can't handle a 1-goal game in the Open Cup. I can't do it. I would be losing my shit once
I would
again.
love to see it be a blowout, like just be
Yeah,
easy. That'd be great.
just like the last 2 years where I was losing my shit because of these fucking 1-goal games. Um, God, I please guys, please just beat Westchester by more than a goal. I don't care if you give up a goal to them, just win by more than 1 goal, just for my own sanity. And if you guys let them take the lead, like Sean is prophesizing here, then yeah, I'm going to lose my shit. So
You might actually get physically asked to leave the media tent.
which even more reason I hope I don't have my kid with me. Like I said, I'm gonna go 2-0 Detroit City against Westchester, and uh, against Rhode Island. I don't think Max is gonna get goaded into a red card. Um, I do think things may get a little chippy Saturday. Um,
I'll be
I'm gonna
extremely
go
disappointed.
1-0,
Yeah.
1-0 win
Oh,
Detroit City.
nice. I'm going to be extremely disappointed if this is like super professional and like just sort of like dispassionate, you know, like, hey man, thanks for
Yeah,
thanks for the good times, bro. Like, no, we can go ahead and be a little bit better right now. It's fine. Use it for motivation, and then after the match, go, hey, just use it for motivation.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to do the bunny hug before the match is over. Um,
Adam, who's your goal scorer for the 1-0?
The 1-0. Like I said, Darren Smith breakout game on last night. I'm gonna go Darren Smith against Rhode Island as well. And my 2 against Westchester. Yeah, this one's tough because I mean it's gonna be a much different lineup.
Yeah, we don't even know who the fuck's going to be in the lineup.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go, let's see here.
Rookie
You know
Yamazaki.
what? I'm gonna go fuck it. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Yamazaki and
Dominic Gasso.
let's go with Jordan.
Nice. Yeah.
Makruva in goal, yes or no?
Yes.
You're just hoping it into being.
There are a
I'm
significant
wondering if I
amount.
should go to the family side and heckle Danny if he isn't in goal.
Uh,
Just
We have
shout at him the entire time. We're up like 4-0. You're like, you got the best keeper in the league sitting there pining to death on the bench.
that's actually
Danny's
happened
like,
last
Danny's
year
like,
with
who
some.
the fuck is this guy?
There was somebody that did that last year on the supporter side.
Was it not Victor?
No, when Danny was playing Carlos over Nate, like he got into it with Danny about you quit fucking
Oh
with
yeah.
Nate.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like it was wild. It happened multiple times last year. But you got people coming. We know Detroit City FC folk listen to this podcast, so this is going to be Sean Spencer. You've made a great pleas before about why Lily Jekyll should be returning to Detroit City FC, which he has. I'm going to make a plea here. It's been a while. You have a lot of people, a lot of the older crew that may not be going out to Detroit City FC games as much these days, through whether it's time sake or that. But Open Cup brings people out of the woodwork because it gives that connection, like that feel and that vibe. Tatenda Makruva is that vibe. So give the people what they want, Detroit City FC, and put Tatenda Makruva in goal on Wednesday. You will not be disappointed.
If I'm reading Danny Dicchio's personality correctly, you have just guaranteed
He's going to put
Tenda is not going to start.
We got to do the
that's
reverse psychology.
Yeah, be like, under no circumstances do we want to see Tatenda Makruva in the goal. That would be a betrayal of all we hold holy. Like, then they'll be like, they'll start him, and he'll be like, I thought passion's great. Like, okay, fantastic.
Okay, how about this? Say it's 1-1 late. Do you?
So Makruva
it's Herrera who's starting. Makruva's on the bench. Do you sub in Makruva just for the thought of going to penalties later on?
I mean, it depends what they look like in training. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, if he's looked good in training, I would absolutely put him on, because I think there's more to it than just having a keeper who's great at stopping. A fresh guy who's been kind of watching the match, like that's kind of ideal preparation for being the keeper of this completely separate weird competition, like skills.
No, Sean, I was talking more so about getting him in to take a penalty.
Oh, I mean, that's the other thing, is that he's been proven as a penalty taker, I think more than once in his career, and I would absolutely put him in there if he hasn't looked like garbage in training. That's the thing we don't know. Like, we just don't.
Yeah, know. I'm just imagining my DCFC fan fiction is Makruva going out there, taking the penalty, winning the game, and then him doing those flips after scoring the goal. What Keyworth would look like.
Is he going to go end to end on the supporter side, like touchline to touchline?
Oh yeah, he would have to.
Yeah. Depends whether he plays the whole match or not. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to go 2-0 City over Westchester. Shane Wheat, because he's going to, be back in the lineup, and he's going to get a header. And fuck it, Ben Morris. I don't know if he's going to start or bench, but he'll get in. Rhode Island is going to be, I think, with the amount of matches played and everything, it's going to be a cagey battle, in addition for all the other reasons we've talked about. Yellow card for Maxi, not a red. And Detroit City FC wins via Darren Smith goal 1-0.
Fair enough.
Garret just ripped off all of my predictions.
Technically, you could have listened to our recap last night and stolen them from me. So
I didn't listen to it. So
I know. All floods, ebbs and flows. Also, real quick, while this is not entirely in the Detroit City FC world, we need to talk about Sean, you made a point of the evolving, in a way, of Detroit City FC, whether they're, instead of going from underdogs to favorites, usually the way these last couple of years have gone. There's been a little bit of landscape shifting in the Eastern Conference this past week. Birmingham Legion and Tampa Bay Rowdies both announcing coaching changes. Tommy Son out of Birmingham Legion, Robbie Nielsen out at Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Right.
Rowdies lost.
Is there like a bidding war for Mark Briggs right now?
Who knows? Rowdies did lose at home to Loudoun yesterday, 1-2. Legion won today at home to El Paso. Another big one. I saw Roots finally got off with a win yesterday.
Amazing.
And although not the biggest upset, because San Antonio hosted Miami and lost. So
yeah, I saw that. They just lost at home to Phoenix, who were previously winless. They went from, they're like
at home,
right? 2 weeks in a row, they've given a team their first win of the season, after starting really well. So who knows, man? Does anybody know anything? Fuck.
I mean, Yeah, that's a great question that I think some of us are still finding the answer to in life. Hopefully, can find the answer to. But that'll be a talk for another time. Next week, we will be talking about the two matches that have been had this coming week, and we'll also be talk the start of the Jägermeister League Cup. But before that, let's talk about where everybody can find all of us. Adam, the usual bits for Majors Detroit as well as yourself.
Major Detroit at TMS6 Detroit on all major social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram. Also, you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Majors TV. Make sure you like, subscribe there, and then like and subscribe and leave a 5-star review on all major Twitter platform, or not Twitter, podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can find me at TMS Next Adam on Blue Sky and Twitter and Instagram as well. So
Sean Spence, the cat picks, and all things cats. Where should they go? Sean?
did Sean
Did you hit
mute
the mute
himself?
button?
Hey, you can find me if you wish to at Shield Chafing, which is SEYLDSEAFING, on kind of everything. But you know, do you really want to find me? You probably don't. It's okay.
You can find me Twitter, Instagram, Discord at GM Comets, and then on Blue Sky, gmcomets.bsky.social. So we thank everybody for checking out another episode of Make City Make Spence. Look forward to getting together next week to talk about how this week went for Detroit City FC. Until next time, they all have a great week, and yeah, see you.